Hey guys, Jake here. You're about to watch a really fun video that I did with Eric Giribaldi, a really good friend of mine. We've been working together for a real long time, and we're going to compare my AC30 with two Alnico Blues versus his AC15 with a greenback, and we're going to look at how different pedals sound into those two different amps, two different speakers, things like that. When we filmed this originally, we had two cameras. One camera was on us, so you could actually see us while we were talking and playing, and the other one was on the pedal board. During our video rendering process, the footage from the main camera where you could actually see us got corrupted, and we can't use it anymore. So for the video you're about to see, it's just going to be the pedal board. You still get a nice view of how the pedals are set and everything, and you can see us move around all the controls and see how everything's set up. And you can still hear us and everything. You just can't see us while we're talking and playing. So hopefully you still enjoy it, and stay tuned for part 2, which will be coming soon. With any luck at all, there'll be a full video of both the main and the pedal board component. So fingers crossed. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I think it's on.
I think it's on.
I think it's working. This is what we both do. Neither one of us know what to do, so we'll just be awkward for a few minutes,
spitballing,
and that will cut the tension. Hi guys, Jake here.
My name is Eric.
No, you're supposed to say Eric here. Hello.
Eric here. Hello. No, we can't do that. We'll get like yelled at.
They live really far away. They can't find us. They don't know. Haverhill, Massachusetts. They wouldn't even be able to pronounce it.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
Haverhill.
Yeah, that's right.
That's like the go-to.
All right, so Eric and I are going to do some nerding out with some Voxes today. So right here behind me, I've got my Vox AC30, which has got two Alnico Blues in it. Eric, what do you got over here?
So I have my newly acquired, like about less than a month. It's an AC15 with a greenback in it. My first time owning a Vox. Super excited about it.
So we've got the amp set up so that they should be relatively the same volume. Why don't we go ahead and test that? Actually,
sure.
What we do, let's turn the decibel meter here, which hopefully you'll be able to see. There we go. All right, so we'll just kind of play through the amps totally clean, nothing else on. So this is the AC15. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty manageable too.
Yeah.
80 something. So all right, now here's the 30. So clearly I lied. The AC30 is a little bit louder, but not too bad. And that's totally clean. Now we're both going into the normal channel, right?
Yes.
Still? Okay. And my normal channel is on about a third of the way up.
And mine is
About a third also.
Yeah.
So they're both set up pretty clean. My master volume is at like 25% or so. Yours is probably up a little higher than that, right?
Yeah.
Gotta be.
Yeah, a little higher.
Okay, it's still not bad. It's interesting, you know. People would think, and we can just go ahead and knock this out of the way right away, that an AC30 would be twice as loud as an AC15 because it has twice as many watts,
Right.
And that's not how anything works.
No.
So
It's actually a common misconception that the wattage has anything to do with the volume. There's some volume involved with that, but a lot of it has to do with the amount of clean headroom that we can get out of the amp, meaning that it will stay cleaner longer as it gets louder.
Exactly. That's one of the things we're going to see, especially with the AC30 here. Not only does it have a little bit more headroom because it's 30 watts instead of 15, that also it also has the two Alnico Blues in it. So it's got two speakers, and the Blues are a more efficient speaker than the greenback. So this will actually stay clean quite a bit longer than the 15, which maybe you want, maybe you don't. If you want an amp that you actually want to get some overdrive out of and you don't want to blow the windows out of your room, then maybe this isn't the right one.
Yeah, right.
The AC15 will drive a lot harder, a lot sooner. So, but let's go ahead and let's dive right into some pedals, man. So we got a fuzz first on the board there. You want to hit that?
Yeah, we have quite a lot of gain going on this board.
Oh,
so yeah, this is the Fat Guy Little Coat Fuzz, made by 37 Effects. He's actually a Mass guy. He's down near in Fairhaven, Massachusetts. So it's really cool. It's really loud. It's really fuzzy.
It is.
So that's good. That you want your fuzz to be, fuzzy.
So this is the 30. So that's the 30. Now let's do the same thing with the 15.
Right away, I'm noticing a little bit of difference in that high end. It's kind of cool. And we talked about this earlier. It might be where I'm sitting, but... Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
It makes sense too, right? So the Alnico Blues should have a little bit more treble in them, but also that amp's going to be compressing a little bit more, so that's going to be squashing down some of those highs. So that would make sense.
That's right.
So, and actually, that can be really cool, especially with a fuzz. Like a fuzz going into a totally clean amp, depending on the kind of fuzz that it is, might be kind of like a little harsh.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not exactly sure if this is meant to mimic anything specifically. I know a lot of times with gain pedals, especially, that we guitar players sort of go like, "Oh, what does it sound like? Is it a fuzz face thing? Is it this?" So I'm not exactly sure what that's doing, but it's sure is fuzzy.
I mean, if you compare that to fuzz face or tone bender or Big Muff, I mean, it's more towards that fuzz facey, big muffy kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
More on that end of it, more of the distortion end of the fuzz rather than the sputtery.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why I like this one so much is because it does act more of like a distortion pedal.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Traditionally, me and fuzz don't always get along, but when they kind of act like that, I tend to lean a little bit more. Cool.
Yeah, cool. So why don't we do this? We'll go. We'll do the same thing, and I'll switch back and forth between the 15 and the 30. We'll go just a couple of bars back and forth.
Sure.
With the fuzz.
On the fuzz?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So
sure.
Usually, it's the 15 to start, and I'll go back and forth with the 30.
Cool.
I think the thing sounds great. This is the first
cool.
time that I've heard that.
It's cool. It's cool. I haven't had it very long, and this is like the first time I've gotten to like crank it up.
yeah. I mean, and the volume's pretty low on that, isn't it?
It's less than noon, so
okay,
that's half.
Yep,
less than half.
A little less than half. Right on. Yep. Okay, so the next one we've got on the board here, we have got a Wampler Tumnus, which those of you guys, if anybody's watching this video, they probably already know that is a Klon circuit. Maybe a little bit more bass than your typical Klon circuit.
Yeah.
And we've got the gain about 3/4 of the way up at the moment. And let's just start. We'll start with the 15. I like it a lot when we turn the gain down to about noon or so.
Yeah,
like
so
nice...
I have a different type of. I have the KTR, the original Klon, the second gen original Klon.
Yeah.
And I'm a Klon guy that keeps the gain a little bit lower.
Yeah.
But they sound really good when you turn it up. It's really cool. I like the sound of the gainy Klon just as much as the cleaner Klon, I guess. It's cool though. That's a great pedal.
Yeah, really nice one. And we'll go back in a little bit. I've got a guitar over here that has humbuckers. So we'll go back and I'll play a little bit later on. We'll hear some different pickups too. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's check out the King of Tone. We got a guy here who's lucky enough to actually have one.
I've had that for a long time too. Like it's been.
Yeah, he had it before it was cool.
Well, it's funny you say that. Like, so I tell people who ask about it. I still get people asking about it. That took 7 months for me to get. Yeah. Now it's over 2 years. Yeah. So in a way, yes. Yep. I had it before it was cool, but yeah, that's always the funniest part. I love people telling that I only waited 7 months for it.
I know,
which is still long.
It's like,
crazy. It's still long.
What else would you? I mean, if you were gonna buy a custom made guitar, you'd have it in that.
Right. Maybe even a little less.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's funny. But I mean, not to turn this into a King of Tone video, but like it is a work of art. It really is a great sounding,
beautiful sounding pedal.
Yeah,
really
it's really cool.
And you've got so tell us a little bit about how this one is set up.
So it's set up. You can do a lot of different options with it when you go onto the website. You can get all these different settings for both sides individually. All these switches. So when I got this, there wasn't actually a whole lot of options to be had. So the red side. Indicated by that lovely button. The red side is the high gain setting. So it just has like, I think the website says like, it's the same exact thing, just a little bit of more gain. Like you won't even notice really, unless it's all the way up, I think. And that's it. The inside, the way that the trim pots are set up, there's like a treble control. They're both all the way down. And then you could do either a boost, an overdrive, or a distortion sound on both channels of the drive. And the red side is set up to be overdrive, and the yellow side is set up to be a boost. So, and they're set in order. So like the red side goes first and the yellow side comes in after. You can't switch them. I think that's one of the options you can do now, is that you can have like a switch that can go either or.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
You know, I think that a lot of them do that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a crazy cool pedal. It can be very customizable. But that one is pretty conservative.
Now, why do you have the boosts after the overdrive? Why do you prefer that rather than before?
I actually really enjoy the sound of the pedal with both sides engaged. Yeah. So I don't tend to run it. I used to do it when I was first using it. I would do the gain, and then I would, like for a solo or something, I would boost that side with the other side. So it was kind of like a two pedals in one, really. But like these days, I really like to run them together, or I think the boost side actually sounds really good by itself as well. So I guess to answer the question of why, I don't really know. Okay. It just is how it turned out that way. Yeah. But yeah, it sounds really cool. I know guys who like to run both sides as a boost. And
kind of one boost into the other.
Yeah. I've heard that done before. That's really cool. So, you know, it can be, you can flip and flop. And I'm pretty sure the standard, without the high gain side on the red, they're virtually the same.
Yeah, same circuit on both sides.
Virtually the same circuit.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, let's hear a little bit. So we'll start with you want to start with the red side first and see how that, okay. Yeah. So we'll hit that. Yeah. All right, and this is, that's the 30.
30, cool.
Actually, let's just see. Here's the clean. Just to give me an idea of the gain.
Yeah, it doesn't get in the way. I really like the sound of that. And it's not crazy. Like, it's nothing, you know, it's not high gain by any means.
Oh, God, it's not the Pinnacle or even
or anything
like
like
that.
It's not a high gain sound, but it's got some beef to it. Yeah. Arpeggios sound really, really clean.
Yeah. We'll try that with the 15 and see what the difference is.
Sure. Hey, do me a favor. Want to switch it off for a second?
Yeah, sure. So use just a 15.
Liked about it is that whatever it's plugged into, it helps it. Not help isn't the word, but like it enhances what it's doing.
Yeah. I mean, anybody that's watching this video again, you guys have probably heard the word transparent tossed around for any kind of guitar pedal.
Yep.
And when you're looking for a transparent overdrive, that's what it's supposed to sound like. Like it doesn't sound. It just sounds like your guitar and your amp and just a little bit more gain.
That's right.
You know, but as soon as we kick that on, it still sounded like an AC15. You know?
Yeah, it doesn't mask anything.
Other pedals are totally different. And then we'll do the same. We'll go back to 30 just for a second. To me, I'm hearing, and it could just be where I'm sitting too, I'm feeling like the 30 has a little bit more kick in the low end. Like it's got a little more bass. I hear that too. Which makes sense. It's got two 12s as opposed to, that's a 12-inch, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So that does make some sense. But man, that thing sounds great with this.
You know, it's so funny too. I think it has a lot to do with where we're sitting, but I really do hear, it's almost like a completely different amp, but it'd be interesting to hear what it sounds like, you know, on the mics and all this stuff, because there are some very obvious differences. But they both still sound like boxes to me too, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, to me, they sound like the same. Same family. This one's just a little more headroom, a little bit cleaner.
Right.
A little more.
And it's funny because like, is that the speaker? Is that just the fact that it's a different wattage? Like
it's so much. And now we'll give you guys a quick glimpse into the future here. Eric has ordered himself an El Nico Blue speaker that's going to go in there. So once he puts that in, we'll come back and we'll do another one of these where we can actually compare an AC15 with the blue to the 30 with the two blues. That's
going to be interesting too.
That'll be really fun. Yeah. By the way, you know what we didn't mention is that is the mics that we're using here. So both of these amps just have an SM57 on them, just kind of off center on the cone. Nothing fancy.
Cool.
All right. That's the high gain side. So now let's check out the boost side. Actually, why don't you? It's on the 30 right now. Go ahead and play with that, and then I'll switch it over to the other one.
Sure.
So we can hear the difference.
Yeah. Okay. How about A? Boost side versus the drive side is that the mids are a little bit more present in the boost side than they are in the drive, and I don't know if that's just especially, and I think it's amplified, no pun intended, by the 30 a little bit more because I think it just has to do with the gain structure of what's going on with that.
It could be. I mean, it seems like that one. It's not much, but it seems like that one is driving a little bit more with the boost than the 30 is.
Yeah,
just a little bit. Not really enough for any normal human being to notice, but here we are. We want to try it with normal. What is that? We want to try it with both sides on and see what we get.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sitting anyway, that one sounds like it's got a little more of a mid push, and this one actually sounds a little more like trebly and bassy.
Yeah.
You know? Yep. But that could be, because you were mentioning the opposite when we just had the boost on, so I'm wondering if the gain circuit, adding that in kind of changes it.
Yeah, that's cool. I think the proof will be in the final result of this whole thing, because I really do think where I'm sitting has a lot to do with how I'm hearing these amps.
Big time. Yeah, and for those of you guys, we keep mentioning that for anybody that's not familiar with that. So depending on where a speaker is in relation to your ears, you get a very different frequency response. And that's why the microphones, we've placed them. So if you guys ever look at a speaker, in the center of it, there's a little circle called the cone. And if that's where a lot of your really high frequencies and your upper mids and stuff like that comes from. And then if you go away from that out towards the kind of the outer part of the big circle, which is called the paper, you'll get more of the lower frequencies. So if you take an SM57, which is a mid and upper mid heavy microphone, and you put it right dead center on that cone in the middle, that is one of the most unpleasant sounds you'll ever hear. It's just, oh. But then if you do the opposite, if you go all the way out on the edge of the cone, it's just going to go.
Yeah.
So what we've done here is we put it right on the border between the cone and the paper, so that we kind of get a mix of both of those.
Yeah.
But then our ears are hearing something different, because our ears are quite a ways away from the speaker here. So the distance from Eric's the greenback in there to my ears and the angle is a lot different than the distance and the angle of the two blues that are in here, and vice versa.
Yeah, so like sometimes I used to see this a lot, where like if you ever see a guy playing with an amp that has like a little right angle piece of tape, right?
Yeah.
That's the spot that they've found on their amp. And I've considered doing that before to my own amps, and it's always like, that's the sweet spot. Like every speaker has like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
From both all speakers sort of sound good and or bad in these obvious spots, but then I do think speakers do make a difference, from like one type to a different type will kind of render different results.
Oh, and we're seeing that right here.
Yeah,
the greens and the blues. I mean,
it's
a huge, at least to us anyway, it's a huge difference. I'm sure my wife would come down and she'd be like, yeah, it's the same. that one looks smaller, but a
trumpet player is like, so what?
Yeah. So,
and also we should mention, these are the two common speakers in Vox amps.
Yes.
I don't think they use anything else besides one of these two.
They have it, depending on which one. I want to say the HW, the hand-wired series, I think has creambacks, depending on which one you get.
Okay.
I think like the AC4 hand-wired one, I feel like it's got a creamback, or it's got a Celestian V or something like that, something different.
I stand corrected.
But no, it's the only one I can think of. And that's kind of a different series too. The hand-wired series.
Yeah.
Those are the ones for people that have a lot of extra money hanging around. So these are the ones that are reasonably affordable. I think brand new. What is this? Brand new 679.
Yeah, a little under 700.
Yeah, and this one is about. I want to say it's been like 4 years since I bought it. I want to say it's like $12.99, something in that ballpark. There.
When you hear that, you're like, that's a lot of money, and it is a lot of money.
Sure.
But like in the grand scheme of amps, I think that's like,
yeah,
that's where you want to be.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this is an amplifier too, and both these amps here, you can get these amps and you can use them for 30 years or something.
Yeah. And they're also readily available, which with guitar equipment is a very good argument to be made.
Yeah.
You don't want to be waiting around for
exactly. Wait 7 months when you could just go down to the store and get one of these. Call up your Sweetwater sales engineer and have him send one over. Get it in 2 days. Yeah, except the FedEx guy will be very unhappy with you. I learned that when I got mine. He came and said, "What the hell is in this box?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, dude. All right, let's turn that off. Okay, so now, all right, we get the Palisades.
Yeah.
All right. So
this is the first time I've really messed around with one of these.
Palisades is a beautiful thing. So anybody that's ever had a tube screamer knows that it does its thing really well, and then there's a bunch of other things that it does that a lot of people don't like. So for example, it can dump quite a bit of bass when you turn it on, right? It also, maybe the gain structure is not exactly what you want because of the different clipping diodes that are in it. Was it asymmetrical, right? And a tube screamer.
Yep.
So with the Palisades, it's by Earthquaker Devices. What this basically does is they found every single tube screamer mod that they could possibly come up with, and they put it into one box. So the voice knob that you see here, this actually moves between different clipping diodes. So this is going to be, this is no clipping diodes at all. So that's going to be super loud. And then we go into different ones. I forget what the second one is, but then this is MOSFET. this is asymmetrical, this is symmetrical, and this is, I always forget, like Shot-ski or Scott-ski. I forget how you say it. It's a Russian thing.
Wow, that's involved.
Yeah.
That's super involved.
Yep, and so you'll notice we can even flick real quick between. We'll go from 1 to 6, and you can just see what happens. So as you go from 1 to 6, it gets more and more compressed and more gainier, I should say. So if you go, at 1, you're gonna have to turn the volume down. 6, you're gonna have to crank it up quite a bit.
Wow.
This also it's got three. It's got a gain A, which is just the activate button. It has a gain B, which is just a different gain structure altogether. And then it has a boost, like a clean boost that comes after the gain stage. Then we have a normal switch and a bright switch. We have an input buffer on and off, and volume and tone. And then the bandwidth control is how much bass you get. So if you want a typical tube screamer kind of sound, it's like there-ish. You put it on 3, and it'll roll off a little bit of bass. Also, as you go further up that bandwidth dial, you'll add a little bit more gain as well. So you'll go to 1, which is going to sound kind of like this, very not so gainy. But then 5 is going to be huge, and that's going to make the amps sound like they're going to blow up.
Wow.
So that's enough talking, because nobody cares about that. Let's just hear what the damn thing sounds like. So clean. Here's the 15 clean, and then with the... So this sound
that's
right
not a tube
here,
screamer at all.
So that right there, that setting there should be relatively close to a tube screamer, because that's the symmetrical clipping, asymmetrical clipping.
Yep.
And that's about, that is a slight bass roll off. So here, I'll turn the pedal on and off. So here's the bass setting.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a tiny bit. But
yeah. It's I'm not going to say drastically different, but it's noticeably different.
Oh yeah, I notice a huge difference between 3 and 4.
Yeah,
it's like that's just kind of where the other ones you can definitely tell. There's a big difference between each one.
So 2 and 1 will do even less. Is that what I'm understanding?
Check this out. I'm telling you, this will sound like
I'm
it's
so excited. Oh wow!
Just again,
that's like AM radio-y.
Yep.
Which that's so. Right away, maybe this is probably a little inaccurate, but I'm getting the sound the old school style of just plugging straight into the desk.
Yeah, sure.
Like no amplifier involved at all. That's
It
similar
gives
to
it,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see. That's cool.
Each time you go up, it adds a little bit more gain also.
Yeah.
And we haven't even touched the gain B, by the way, or the boost.
The question is, are there any sort of presets involved with it? Is gain B, how does gain B work? Is it just the drive control and everything else is also going to affect gain B?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's adds a different. It basically swaps out the gain A for just a different gain circuit.
Gotcha.
But the bandwidth and the voicing knob and all that
applies.
That all still. Yep, everything applies. So actually, we'll try it. So both of these are set right now. The gains are both set at noon, and we're on the asymmetrical clipping, and we're on level 4 for the bandwidth. So people need to stop texting me. I should just put this.
He's so popular.
God. Anyway, so all right. So here's gain A.
Can gain B be run without A?
No, it cannot.
So it's
no.
okay. So it's always
basically what it is. Yeah, you activate it. This just swaps them out.
that happens when you change the voicing.
I know, right?
Boom. That means it's working, folks. I see. So it's that's cool. That's cool.
Typically, that's what I would do. Is I usually have my gain B up a little bit, and then I have my gain A down, and then the volume doesn't really change that much, but you get like a little bit more sustain for a solo. And then if you need a volume boost when you're soloing, so go ahead, do like a rhythm part, and then I'll hit the other one.
It's like the same, but just a little bit more.
Just more. Yeah, just
more. That's
more.
awesome.
Yep. Very,
so
very handy.
You know, the vocalist is singing. It's like a verse. And then the chorus comes in. And then the solo.
Yeah. There you
That's
go.
Great.
That's
all
what
you
that
need.
is. Verse, chorus, solo. That's what the button.
You don't need any of the other drives then.
That's right.
You better like
no.
Tube Screamers.
Yeah.
But
you can also make it. I mean, look at this. I'll put on that and that.
Yeah, that's not very.
What that?
Like
what kind of? Yeah, that doesn't sound like. At
I'm stretching the limit of my heavier playing here.
So now what's happening there? Because now we're on the no clipping diodes. Oh, LED. I think that's what the second one is. I just remembered. So the no clipping option is a lot louder because there's no clipping diodes, which means that there's no signal compression there. It's just going straight through. And so that's going to produce a lot more volume, which means this is what we wanted to running this into 15 the whole time. We haven't even tried this into that.
Oh, that's
30.
a good point.
So we should check that out. So now I'll run the gain kind of down a little bit, but we've got plenty of level here, and we'll switch. Put that there, and then we'll switch back and forth. And my suspicion is that we're going to get a little bit more drive sound out of the 15 than the 30, but we'll see. Okay. So go ahead. So try the 15.
How about C? I like that. That's cool.
So I'm definitely getting a little bit more low-end thump from this one still.
Yeah. And it appears to be, I think you were right, like there's clearly more gain happening.
Yeah, and the pedals still, I mean, they're not really driving as much as I expected they would. I mean, we could try turning the volume way up, but the mics would probably be upset.
Yeah, and that's not really, I think that's a moot point anyways.
It'd be more like using a boost pedal at that point rather than a tube screamer. So the point of this, you want to get some of the gain from the pedal. And
that's a whole sidestep discussion of this entire thing. Like, are you trying to get more from your amp, or are you trying to get a different, not to use a zing word, but a different flavor of drive?
Yes.
Because that's a very specific drive sound to me.
Yep.
You know, whereas like a fuzz, you can't get a fuzz out of an amp unless you ruin it. Like literally, you destroy the amp.
Yeah, right.
Like, you have to poke holes in the speaker to like get it to work.
Which, by the way, think back to like You Really Got Me for like the Kinks.
Yeah, that's the one that comes to mind.
60s. That's what he did. He took a knife and just sliced up the speaker. And that's how you get that. That's how you get that sound. I guess it was worth it. So yeah, that's the deal with the Palisades. So plenty of different clipping diodes. I mean, I've done plenty of gigs before where I just took that as an overdrive, and
I could see that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if I'm doing. I mean, a lot of times when I go to a gig, I have 7 overdrives on my board, and I actually only end up using one of them. But if I'm playing a gig where I need a bunch of other stuff, I need a chorus and a tremolo, and I need a delay, and I need reverb and all that, I'll just throw that on there for an overdrive. And
I could see blues guys loving that.
Yeah.
Like, you can obviously use it for anything, but like the Tube Screamer has a very strong presence in the blues guitar world. Yep. And I could see a lot of guys loving that.
And for those of you guys who might not know, so one of the reasons why Tube Screamers get used so much, especially in a live setting, is the Tube Screamer has a very pronounced mid-range bump, and that can be really handy because guitar is more of a mid-range instrument, and if you dump some of the low end and a little bit of the high end, the guitar can fit a little bit better in the mix, because instead of having this huge sound where the low part is interfering with the kick drum and the bass, the high is interfering with the vocals and the cymbals and stuff, you have a little bit more of a focused sound in the middle. So
the Klon does that a little
beautifully,
bit too, in a different way. But those two, the Tube Screamer and the Klon circuit, are known for enhancing your mid-range like that.
And they're both one of those things where when you first kick it on, if you're just in a room by yourself, you might immediately kick it off and go, "Ugh, why would I want to do that?" It kind of sounds nasally and like why
in the room by yourself, it might be unpleasant.
Yeah.
Even.
Which, by the way, goes for these as well. By the way, if you've ever just been in a room by yourself with an AC30 and turned it up a little bit, you go like, "Why would anybody want to do that?" But you put it in a band,
right? So like the Tube Screamer thing in a band mix is perfect.
Yeah,
it really you can punch out without adding volume, because the one thing that we're always going to battle is being too loud. Whether we like it or not, it's just reality. And enhancing your mid-range is a wonderful way to appear to be louder. Yeah, because you can you just heard better.
Now, actually, it brings up an interesting point. We were talking about this a little bit before. So we mentioned that the AC30 has higher headroom and it's got more efficient speakers, so therefore it's just louder. The 15 has has less headroom and just a single speaker. It's a little less efficient, so that means it's going to break up a little bit sooner. So if you're playing in a live setting and you want to get overdrive out of your amp, that's probably the way to go.
That's the one to use. Yeah.
If you are playing in a band and you need it to stay clean, this is the one. So a case in point there, I play with a studio orchestra that has about 18 people in the group. And on more than one occasion, we've been at a theater or something like that, and they ran out of microphones for the ensemble, or they ran out of inputs in the board or whatever. And I was the odd man out. And so what I would have to do is this had to be loud enough so that the people all the way in the back of the theater could hear me just as loud as the people right in the front. The poor people that sat right in front of it.
I feel bad for the people in the front.
Actually, and what I would often do, I'll often angle the amp up, actually. And so what happens is there's one guy who's right in line with the speaker, like all the way in the back, who's just like being killed by the speaker. He's 100 feet away, and it's being absolutely murdered by it.
Which, I mean, that not to even dive deeper, but that goes back to the conversation about the speakers.
Yeah.
It depends on where you're sitting, where your reference is in terms of where you're from the amp.
And that's why too, if I can, I like to run the amp a little bit down and use a microphone on it, because then it comes through the PA system in the house, so not one individual person is getting absolutely killed by it. But it's happened several times.
I've turned amps around before, faced them at like a wall as well, just so to eliminate that variable as much as I can.
Honestly, I've done that before too, and I don't know why people don't do it more.
Because it really looks dumb.
It does look dumb. I played a show in Nashua, New Hampshire. We've done it a few times here, and we weren't supposed to have amps on the stage. You're supposed to plug directly into the PA.
Interesting.
And it's like an outdoor gig, and so the PA wasn't working. We couldn't get it to work. So we had these amps, and we did is we took them on stage and we just turned them around and faced back towards us, so that nothing was actually going out.
Yeah.
And it was so much better than plugging a guitar straight into a PA.
Yeah, that's awful.
It's really brutal. You can't hear it either.
Yeah,
because we couldn't use monitors.
You can say goodbye to any sort of EQ control on your end.
Oh, forget it. You were talking before about plugging right into a mixing console. That's basically what it is, except it doesn't sound cool.
No,
it has higher headroom, and it's just not fun. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why you might want to go with one or the other. I knew getting this amp that I was going to need clean headroom for those instances where I needed to hit the back of a theater, but for 9 out of 10 gigs, that's more than enough. It's that 1 out of 10 that's the reason why I have that one.
Yep.
And the other times I'm wondering.
That's why you just need 2.
That's why you have those. Let's say both. Go talk to my wife and see if you can make that case for me. And thank God for master volume controls on this.
Yeah.